Yeah.
Oh. Okay.
Okay, we'll call this meeting to order. Would everyone please stand for the pledge? I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
So everybody's aware. Anybody speaks tonight, I'm not gonna let anybody speak from the audience. You will come to the podium. So we can all hear you clear. And plus it's, everybody can see everybody on Zoom. So nobody speaks out from the audience. If you want to say something, you will come to the podium. Okay? All right, roll call, Marie.
Right here.
Councilwoman Beck,
Here.
Councilman Jacob Flutie,
Here.
Councilman Jerry Flutie,
Here.
Mayor Davis.
Here. Everybody had a chance to read the agenda. Do I have a motion to approve the agenda?
I'll make a motion.
Second,
I'll second.
all in favor?
Aye. Aye.
Aye. Okay, we'll move on to approval of last month's minutes. I didn't see anything that needed addressed. Did anybody else?
No.
I have a motion to approve last month's minutes and also for the special meeting we had on March 10th, which was just discussion of one item.
I'll make a motion.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, we'll move on to payment of the bills. We have deposits in the amount of $376,232.94. Accounts payable are $1,118,964.82. Payroll is $36,528.56. And our transmittals were $77,516.53. Any questions, discussions on these? Do I have a motion to approve the bills as stated?
Motion.
Do I have a second?
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, we'll move on to correspondence. Marie?
About chicken for cancer. Sorry, I forgot I had to do correspondence. This is for fundraising for those that are in the valley that need funds to travel for cancer treatment at a distant location. They are managed and distributed locally by the Corbett Medical Foundation. If you'd like to sponsor a poll, it's $250. And then if you'd like to join, it's $200 per person or $800 for 4 people. And this is on May 21st on Sunday at 10 a.m. at Old Colby. And for more information, contact Ellie or Randy Raymer or chipinforcancer@gmail.com. And then the next is Carbon County Courthouse grand reopening. That's Friday, May 12th, from 11 to 1 p.m. at 415 West Pine Street in Rollins. And it's their grand reopening to their courthouse. And so I've been in this already. I've had a tour of it. It's beautiful. They put in a lot of work and a lot of money into it. So this is their the way to show that they've restored the past to build the future. And this is from the 6 Penny Project. And then last is a letter from Bob Grafter. And basically what the letter says is that because we need large volume of water to fill the lake to the original capacity, An idea that he has is that since we're scared of Saratoga flooding, why not reroute the water to Saratoga?
And do it. But remember the game and fish guy. Yeah, I'm just,
That's the one.
yeah. And that can be done per game and fish. In fact, they got a lot of time when they can even start filling it. And they can only take a certain water right out of it, is my understanding. So. So,
And that's it for correspondence.
okay, well, thank you. We'll move on to items from the public, broadband updates.
Mr. Mayor, Council, I'm Brian Woody. The Chief Customer Relations Officer for Union. We been kind of lax in getting over here to see you guys in a long time. So in fact, this is my first time here. So we would, we want to correct that and come in and be more diligent about what we're doing and where we're doing it. So I handed out to the council just kind of where we're at today. We've got about 43% of structures within the city limits, fiber to the prem. 80% with broadband greater than 25 meg down, and 99 and change have internet available. We're not done by a long shot. Really where we line out is we're short of capital these days. We've got to replace our entire mobile network in the next 2 years. Well, really year and a half-ish. So that's sucking a lot of our capital today. And at this point, the federal government that's mandated that is only going to fund us 39%. So we're fighting to try to get the other portion of funding. That being said, we at this point, not sure when we're going to really start back up here. When we are going to try to go for some of the funding that's coming through the state, through the BEAD program and other programs. We just got an email on that today while we were driving down here. So hopefully that opens up relatively quickly. I'm still guessing that we're not going to be able to do anything in this construction year. But hopefully we'll have some funds that we can use and dedicate towards Saratoga and Carbon County in this area. Hopefully for the next construction season.
Okay.
So we would really like to come in, kind of give you an update. Everywhere else we've been doing it. We've tried to talk to them once a quarter. So if you're okay with us coming bugging you once a quarter, we'd like to do that. And
You're welcome anytime. And if something changes, please feel free to come down and give us an update.
we will.
Okay? Any questions?
No.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, we'll move on to council comments. Does anybody have anything they want to say before we move into reports from the departments?
Just that, John wanted to get 2 more pallets of the cold mix pavement to fix holes until we can get hot pavement, which will be 2 months away, probably, or a month and a half.
Okay, you say that was approximately,
Approximately $1,400, 7 something a pallet.
well, I see no issue with it and we have plenty of potholes to fix, so.
Yes, we do.
And I think they're gonna get worse, so. Do I have a motion to go ahead and allow this to happen?
I'll make a motion.
Purchase these 2 more pallets off or
Need it.
mix, isn't it?
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
I
Aye. Carried. Any opposed? All right. Okay,
We've got Kathy,
pardon?
but Kathy on there.
Yeah, Kathy's on Zoom. The only thing I've got to say is I want to thank all the townspeople, the ladies in the office are putting in a lot of hard work and, we are starting to bring stuff together a lot. And, I also want to, do a shout out to the boys who plowed snow this winter and, well, hopefully we're done with a lot of it, but I've got a lot of good comments on them, so they needed a pat on the back too. So moving on to that, we'll move on to reports from department, town hall. And it looks like the first thing we got to do there is when we took over the council in January, we allowed John Winters to stay on the, nope, that isn't it.
Nelson.
Oh,
You were right, but John Nelson, not John Winters.
oh, did I say Winters?
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry. John Nelson to stay on with this, the 1% 6 penny sales tax. And, to get it changed over, his last meeting will probably be, the first meeting in May. And so at this time, I'm supposed to, per the county, they need a, somebody appointed and then a part-time person in case that person can't make it. So at this time, I'd like to appoint Mike Cooley to that position since he's been following John quite a bit. Do I have a motion for that?
I'll make a motion.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
And then on the alternate, I guess I could ask for volunteers. If nobody wants to volunteer, I've been to a couple of their meetings and I can set in on it. So as an alternate, if everybody's in agreement. Kathy?
Yeah, that sounds good. Thanks.
Okay, all right. Well, I'll be the alternate. Okay. Thank you. We'll move on to work order 20-02, an amount of $4,000. Can you explain this for me, what this work order is for?
This work order is for, steel engineers. For. Stevens there.
Okay. What, Josh with Teal Engineers sent this over. He's been, he gets pulled into it by the attorney and everything, and he hasn't been billing us. This is, he hasn't spent this much money, but if he does do a little bit of work for us, for our request, he has a work order he can bill off of. So if I could get a motion to pass this.
I'll make a motion.
Second,
I'll second.
all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, and he hasn't, to this time, he has not billed anything towards it. Okay, we'll move on to the police department.
With resolution 23. Okay. What that is for a grant application for the 2023 SHSP grant. What we're gonna do with that is some radio maintenance and update our system, so we're running, our communications are going via radio frequencies from dispatch to the water tower. So that'll do, the Saratoga PD, Saratoga Fire, Encampment Fire, and Encampment PD channels on a grant, and it's 100% reimbursable grant through Homeland Security. That's a project that we've been working for 4 or 5 years.
Good.
Do we need to read the resolution?
Yes, gotta read the resolution.
So this is a resolution authorizing submission of an application to the grant loan program on behalf of the governing body of the town of Saratoga, Carbon County, Wyoming. The purpose of the 2023 SHSP radio upgrade from dispatch to the water tower. Since whereas the governing body of the town of Saratoga desires to participate in the 2023 SHSP to assist financing of this project. And whereas the governing body for the town of Saratoga, Carbon County, Wyoming recognizes the need for the project, whereas the 2023 SHSP program requires that certain criteria to be met as described by the 2023 SHSP rules and regulations governing the program, and to the best of our knowledge, this application meets those criteria. And now therefore it be resolved by the governing body of the town of Saratoga, Carbon County, Wyoming, this grant application for the amount of, we're pending on that. We're doing for the total amount, our guys are still getting some numbers figured out.
Okay,
It'll be submitted to the 2023 State of Wyoming SHSP for consideration to assist in funding for the 2023 SHSP radio upgrade from dispatch to the water tower. It'd be further resolved that Tyler Kristen, Saratoga Police Department Sergeant, who designated as authorized representative of the town of Saratoga to act on behalf of the governing body on all matters relating to this grant loaner application.
any questions? None? Do I have a motion to pass this resolution, which gives him a right to submit this grant?
I'll make a motion.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Any opposed? Okay, we'll move on to whatever else you got.
So in the last 2 weeks, Saratoga dispatch receives a total of 138 calls. Out of those 138 calls, we produced in the traffic stop side of it, 12 citations, 15 warnings.
Okay. In your 138 calls, does that include what they received from encampment too?
It's just Saratoga PD on that one.
That is just Saratoga PD. Okay. Do you have any idea roughly what we received from encampment?
I don't.
Okay. I was just curious.
Yep, no, that's just that. And then we've got some upcoming training and stuff in the next couple of weeks. That we'll be doing through TAC 1, which I believe was discussed at the last council meeting.
Okay. I have another question. This has been brought to me by some of the public people, is we no longer post our police report in the paper?
We haven't been for some time.
Yeah. Do you know why? Is there a reason why? Was that discussed, or is that something I need to talk to the chief about?
Talk to the chief on.
Okay.
Josh has something.
Yes.
May I approach?
Yes.
So you're not the only person public has gone to. That actually shows me that pretty much the only time people like to read the paper is the police report, because I always get asked about it. So on that note, I have spoke with Mike Morris. Chief Mike Morris. We are going back and forth on what kind of what he's comfortable with giving us, along with my point of view of what I believe is important for public knowledge. One of the reasons why we haven't published a police report in recent weeks is we have had some recent staff changeover at the newspaper. We've been keeping some of the things for the newspaper kind of high and tight with our page counts. So,
Okay.
So it's kind of a twofold thing, one on our end, one on the police department's end. But I have had conversation with Chief Morris in the past couple of weeks about what we can do to work together to get those police reports back in. Right now, we are getting the CAD calls. We just haven't had the opportunity or the space to stick those in the newspapers in recent weeks.
Okay. Thank you.
Thanks, Josh.
You have anything else, Sergeant Tyler?
No, that's it.
Thank you. Okay, we'll move on to the Recreation Department. Sarah's not here. Kathy, do you have anything for her?
I do. I have a report for her. Hours of operation at the gym for non-members, Monday through Friday, 9 to 2, closed on Fridays. For members, Monday through Thursday, 5 a.m. to 8 p.m. Fridays, 5 a.m. to 3 p.m. School activities and rec department activities will get priority on open gym schedules. It's best to reserve space even during open hours. Special note, spring break reminder. Kids under 13 need parental supervision or arrangements need to be made with Sarah directly. This is not a drop-off location for kids during the school, while school is out. There are roughly 75 members of the gym and weight room. Fitness classes are morning mashup, low impact fitness, kids group, cycling. Schedules posted on the main gym door and Facebook. So updates on the youth and other rec activities. Youth basketball takes a break during spring break. Season ends April 13th. Adult Rec League volleyball tournament. Congratulations to Sadie Bangs and her team for first place. Color run set for April 15th. Registration is now open. Apply online or at the offices of the Chamber of Commerce or Recreation Department. Those links to those to the registration are also available on Facebook through Rec Department and Chamber of Commerce. For the pool, the advertisement continues for pool manager until March 24th. And we'll conduct interviews and select and hire for the first April council meeting. Lifeguard advertisements will run until positions through the end of April, are filled through the end of April. New pump arrived and we'll start cleanup and maintenance mid-April, early May. That's dependent on the weather. That's all we have for rec department or for the director.
Okay, thank you. Is there anything else?
Nothing from me.
Anybody have any questions on the rec department? Hey, I skipped the fire department. I don't see a rep in here, so to my knowledge, no reports were sent over to me, so we'll just acknowledge that no one's here. Okay, we'll move on to Department of Public Works. We have several things in here on this, and one of them is, I wanted to bring out in the open and talk to each council member about it. And that is, do we want to fill the public works position? I can say there is a lot going on in that department. Okay. I believe if we had somebody like Chuck McVeigh, for example, if he moved over and tried to catch up on the paperwork side, we may pull too much from what he does on the outside. There is a lot to it. I can attest to that because I've been doing it. But that was the discussion I wanted to bring up. And if so, if we do decide to do this, do we want to have part of that planning and zoning, or do we want to stick with strictly a Department of Public Works person and what people think may be a good salary? Because if we do this, I'd like to advertise for it.
I think we need to advertise for it and see what we get, because we might be able to combine it,
Okay,
but we might not find the right people to combine it.
correct. Mike, do you have any input?
No, that'd be my thoughts on it too.
Jacob? Do you have any input from the public? Please.
All right, so a hazard of the job is I have about 4 or 5 years historical knowledge with what the town of Saratoga was going through with planning and zoning. Just from a standpoint of previously what I saw with both the planning and zoning department as well as town of Saratoga council meetings, and then also from the standpoint of a resident of the town, I do think it'd probably be within your best interest to essentially, basically what the position used to be called of engineer, which Chuck Bartlett used to be in. I know you have Northfork Engineering and engineering associates on retainer as engineers, but I think having a public works supervisor as well as someone who is in the planning and zoning department is going to be beneficial, because over the past several years, I saw previous administrations try and fill a part-time position to no success, and then try and fill a full-time position to very little success as well. So just my 2 cents on that one.
Thank you.
Are you saying 2 positions is what you think, or 1?
I'm saying 1 because even when you had a Department of Public Works director and you were trying to find a planning and zoning director, it was proving very difficult. And no one wanted to come to Saratoga for a part-time job, and it was a part-time planning and zoning. But it's one of those where it's not quite, I think planning and zoning is one of those where it's not quite a part-time job, but it's not quite a full-time job. And so it's kind of one of those that it can kind of be interspersed a little bit. And I think you can talk with every single contractor, in this town. You need someone for planning and zoning for sure. Because there are certainly plenty of people, and I've seen contractors stand in this room before and say that they've seen jobs going on without building permits. And so obviously there needs to be that oversight. Now, not currently, this is in the past. So there needs to be that oversight for your planning and zoning, as well as your Department of Public Works. So I would say 1 position, and then you get rid of that, and you're also saving yourself some money.
Okay, thank you. Any other comments? Well, I can tell you some of the work that's involved is that person needs to be at the joint powers meetings, because they're always asking for reports, from anywhere from amount of water pumped versus amount of water billed out. And, I can get it for them, but I don't have it with me at that time. Various things like that. Right now, I'm in the process with Sergeant Christensen's assistance of writing a grant, which we'll talk about here shortly. I mean, there's just a lot of work in there. As far as planning and zoning, that could be a position. At times you really need one, and like Josh said, and at other times, I don't know if you really do need a full-time person. So that is something. So I guess what's on the agenda is I'd like to advertise to see what we can do for this position. And possibly it's going to raise the community's concerns and maybe get some more feedback from the community. So at this time, I'm asking for a motion to go ahead and advertise for a public works / possibly, let's just leave it at public works for right now. Do I have a motion?
I'll make motion.
Do I have a second? All in favor?
Aye.
I,
Okay, on this, we are working on, the attorney's working on, it's part of the handbook on job descriptions. So right now, we're not going to post everything on, and when we advertise we won't post the entire of what the job description is, because I think it's 3.5 pages, and that's a lot for a job description. But anyway, so we'll move on with that. In line with that, I would like to advertise for some summer help. And what I'd like to do is, and I'm sure everybody can remember how we used to use the high school kids. And I would like to open this up to, and we've got to check with LGLP, our insurance, to see if we can actually allow some of these younger kids, 16 to 18, to operate a weed eater. To get their total feelings on it. And because we are charging weed and pest, and we haven't been doing any trimming of weeds and working up and down the alleys and places where we normally go every year. And I would like to try to bring this back in. And I was thinking maybe, and then wage wise, I don't know what have we paid in the past, Marie?
I believe we're going to advertise last year and it was for $13.
we don't have to put a wage on it, but I believe it would help. And I think $15 an hour. That's a lot of work to stand out in the sun and weed eat, and that'll be one of their main things they'll be doing. So, but I'd like to go to advertisement on that if the council so chooses. Any,
I'll make a motion.
I'll second.
all in favor
Aye.
Aye.
and opposed? Okay, we'll move on to RFP for park maintenance. On this is where they bid out for people doing the lawn mowing, taking care of all the parks in town. Do you know what they budgeted for that off the top of your head, Marie,
But I have the budget with me.
from last year?
I have just your stuff.
That's okay. It doesn't matter. We'll just move on without that. What that entails is all the parks in town, that'd be Kathy Globe, Veterans Island, the one over by the hot pool, Good Times Park. And seems like there was one other one that they'll also do the lawn maintenance at the Platte Valley Community Center, which we do show reimbursement from, and the ball fields. And that would be, I would advertise it for lawn maintenance, fertilize and stuff like that. Along that line, possibly even if it's a small minor fix, they could fix something on a sprinkler system. I don't want them out there digging up lines and everything, but if a head wasn't turning or something like this, that would be their responsibility. And I would like to advertise that because we are coming into summer season.
Maybe. Hopeful thinking.
Yeah, hopefully, I'm ready for it. So, any questions, discussion on that?
Nope.
Do you have a motion?
I'll make a motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, seeing none. Okay, everybody will look before them. They have Saratoga Mosquito Abatement Project for 2023. And we put this budget together and it is quite high. But this is just the budget and we're asked, and we'll read the resolution on it, but it's $63,820. And if we apply for a grant, I'm hoping to get at least half of this reimbursed to the town. We do have the money in weed and pest. But what I'm looking at is last year, they fogged it 22 days is all. I'm looking at it. I put together a schedule today and come up with 112 days. And that can be adjusted. We may have started a little too early in May and quit a little bit too early in August, but we can always move that forward, but it'd still be the same amount of days. And we have two foggers going 2 hours on each a night or in the evenings. And we paid them last year at $20 an hour. Okay, so if we do 112 days, that would be $8,960. I've also hopefully got a pilot on board. And I would like to do, this is the expensive part of it. I'd like to do 3 applications via air. And at least one of those applications will be when it stays warm and we'll spray for the larvicide spray. Possibly 2 applications there and then just 1 for mosquitoes. That's in and out. We figured about $2.86 an acre. And we have approximately 3,500 acres. So that's a total, if you spray it 3 times, that's 10,500 acres. So it comes out to $30,030. Then you move down, miscellaneous materials and supplies is $1,000. Now on this one where you have adulticide and larvicide, and that should read $16,208. Okay, that is reimbursable to us through the Carbon County Weed and Pest. Okay, so that dollar amount, it's got to be figured into the budget, but we get reimbursed for that amount. And then if you go over to administration cost and everything, be record keeping, field monitoring, and that total, we billed out about 30 hours at $36 an hour. And then for fuel, from the information I got last year, for what we paid, they burnt, for 22 days, they burnt 90 some gallons of fuel. And they had it figured at a cheaper price. So we added that many days and figured we'd burn 1,000 gallons of fuel, 1,120 of fuel. Anyway, to break this all down. And that come up $5,400. And then advertising, and what we have to do there, a lot of the advertising will be when we spray, aerial spraying, and keep the public posted. So it come out to a total of $63,820. Marie, would you read that resolution, please?
Resolution authorizing the implement an application to the grant program on behalf of the governing body of the town of Saratoga, Carbon County, Wyoming, for the purpose of protecting human and animal health and safety, eradicate infestation when possible, reduce reservoirs of infected or potentially infected vectors, and minimize impacts to non-target species in the environment. Whereas the governing body for the town of Saratoga desires to participate in the 2023 Wyoming EIMG package to assist in financing this project, and whereas the governing body for the town of Saratoga, Carbon County, Wyoming, recognizes the need for the project, and whereas the 2023 Wyoming EIMG program requires that certain criteria be met as described in the 2023 Wyoming EIMG rules and regulations governing the program. And to the best of our knowledge, this application meets those criteria. And now therefore be it resolved by the governing body of the town of Saratoga, Carbon County, Wyoming, that a grant application in the amount of $63,820 be submitted to Wyoming Emergency Insect Management Committee for consideration to assist in funding 2023 Wyoming Emergency Insect Management Grant Package. Yet further resolved that Mayor Davis and the future Director of Public Works are hereby designated as the authorized representatives of the town of Saratoga to act on behalf of the governing body on all matters relating to this grant.
Any questions, discussion? Do I have a motion to apply for this grant?
I'll make a motion.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. Thank you. We'll move on to reports from boards and commission. We'll start with the Community Center Joint Powers Board. Kathy?
I don't have anything to report from the last meeting. Our next meeting is Monday, April 10th at 4:30 at the community center.
Okay. The second item on there is payment. There's been an agreement with the town and the community center that the town pay $15,000 a quarter. The invoice is in your billing for what it was for. And we're behind 2 quarters. And we do have an MOU with them. And they sent us an invoice. So I'm asking if to go ahead and move forward and pay this $30,000 to the Platte Valley Community Center?
I'll make a motion.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. We'll move on to the Water and Sewer Joint Powers Board. Jacob,
At our last meeting, we talked about some bylaw issues that we've been trying to get taken care of through our current lawyer. They've been dealing with them for quite a while and haven't got anywhere with it, so we are getting rid of that lawyer and gonna go through someone different. We discussed with tank demo for the old water tank. And guess the important thing was we'll be having a workshop on the 3rd of April. Here. That. 5:30 PM. Discussing the water and sewer ordinances for the town. That'll be open to the public, correct?
yes, I will.
Okay.
Okay. Any other questions on the water? The only thing I could add is that, they did discuss this new subdivision and, they wanted to talk with, Chuck McVeigh over it. There was some confusion on connecting water lines up here and how they're wanting to reduce from different sizes to smaller sizes. And they want McVeigh's input on this before they move on, before they approve anything on that.
Is this up here on,
And this is for the Saratoga Inn where Triple D has come before. Plus they're still on hold, everything we've discussed. Because it is a subdivision already. And it's included in Saratoga Inn Country Club subdivision number 2, but it's non-platted. That is filed with the Carbon County. And to be safe on this, it was all turned over to that town attorney with all the information. And she's got to do the research since it's already designated in a subdivision and they want to build a new subdivision. So you got to dissolve part of a subdivision and there's just a lot of legality in it. And so I just turned it over to the town attorney and I have not, that was late. I think it was Thursday of last week. So, and I have heard nothing from her. So that's what's going on with the subdivision and that's
is
something.
part of it platted then?
Not that portion in question is not platted in the 1962 map that shows that as part of subdivision number 2. There's 1, 2, so 3, 4, 5, and 6 are non-platted in that subdivision. And this one is number 4, I do believe. But it is all included in subdivision number 2. So they've got to follow the rules and there's statutes governing that, plus our ordinances on what they've got to do to get this correct. So that's why I gave it over to the attorney because it got way over my head in a hurry.
Yeah.
So any questions on that? But anyway, the Joint Powers Board wanted to talk with McVeigh on some issues with water lines up there,
And
water and sewer.
sewer.
Yeah. So that was the only other thing that needed to be brought out of that. Do you have anything else, Jacob?
I don't believe so. Our next meeting will be on the 12th of April at 6 PM.
Okay. Planning Commission and McCall didn't show up. Joe, would you like to give us any update on the last meeting?
Sure.
I have my notes, so forgive me, this is my memory. Well, the Triple D was here and we're still working on that. Chuck just brought that up. So that is definitely something that's going to be out there and in progress for a long time. So, you know, it's going to be meetings and everything, but all we have is preliminary. So we're nowhere down the road on it. We're working on a couple of things, working on affordable housing. I've made some inroads. Teresa's made some inroads. We're working on trying to fund. We can do that and we'll come in front of the board one of these days, in front of the council one of these days and bring something in front of you that we have. But we're working on funding on things that way. And we're working on short-term rentals issue as well. What else did I leave out, Chuck? What else did we cover last week?
And, you know, we briefly touched on the Airbnb, but
Right.
we figured there wasn't enough research
We're
on
not
that.
there yet. Yeah, we're doing a lot of planning, looking at a lot of things down the road, trying to anticipate things and dealing with obviously the issues that come up, but with the weekly meetings. We're working on a lot of planning. Also, McCall and I had a meeting Monday on the RFP that we were talking about for the walking path. And we've had 5 submissions. And McCall is working on talking to some of the companies and eventually in the next board meeting, the next council meeting, make a recommendation to you guys. And, to see what we're up. We got some really good ones too. My comment was, I think I could throw all 5 in a box, pick one and we'd be fine. The only issue is one of them is Colorado, John. So, but the rest are pretty much one. And if I'm not going to tell you how good they are, but probably the best one is Colorado. But I didn't say that. Any of that. That's about it.
And then the only last thing is, what do they call that on Main Street? That they're wanting to designate it
Oh, doing the historic.
type of, just on Main Street or on Bridge Street. Historic.
Yeah, Lindsay Globe brought that up to us at a meeting a couple of meetings ago about making Bridge Street historic and going after some protection, ways we can build. People just can't come in and demo something. We want to have a good look. So that is very much in the preliminary stages because there's an organization that does this, but we're looking at what kind of funding, how would we get this funded? Do they fund it, et cetera? How far do we want to go? Do we want to make it a historic district? What do we want to do? But the opportunity is out there. So that's another thing we're looking at. Again, the Planning and Zoning Commission is looking at a lot of planning.
That'll really tie your hands on what you can do to a building though.
Well,
And that was.
Goes through that quite a bit.
And that was one of the questions that brought up, how far do they want to go into it?
right.
And the way the planning commission said, they don't want to go into it that far. They just want to kind of preserve what's there. So it looks historic and maybe do some additional, a street lamp type thing or something like that in a few places. There was a lot of planning on, a lot of discussion on it, but
A lot of different options too. So we might not touch the building thing, Jerry, because it might be too restricted. The last thing I think that we ever want to do in the planning area is make it too onerous, too restrictive, make it too hard for people to follow. We'd like to, be as forefront thinking as we can, but make it as easy on people as possible. So we're always walking that line.
okay. Thank you, Joe.
Thank you, everybody.
Okay, and their next meeting is April 11th at 5:30 here at the town hall. Okay, we'll move on to Recreation Commission. Kathy?
Just that we have 2 positions open on the commission. And we're looking for volunteers for the color run April 15th. So that registration that I mentioned earlier, there's also that opportunity to volunteer. So if you're interested, please let Sarah know or fill out that information. And our next meeting is, I don't have this right in front of me, sorry. Is Monday, April 3rd at 6 o'clock at Town Hall.
Okay, thank you. Okay, we'll move on to the Airport Advisory Board. We didn't have a quorum at the last meeting. There was a few things discussed and I brought up. They did the last airport update. They needed additional monies. So you'll see in here, and all it is entitlements. They didn't borrow the money. It was an entitlement. And it would come from the Lusk Airport. And Lusk was entitled to $101,756 that they weren't going to use. So basically Saratoga borrowed that entitlement to work on this airport. Now Lusk is asking for, and we would have the same type of entitlement. They're asking for us to give our entitlement back to them so they can do work on their airport. It was basically an agreement that between the Lusk Airport and our airport and the FAA. So and this come due, it's in your packet if you want to read it more. That's pretty much it in a nutshell. And what I need is a motion to give back Lusk back her entitlement and carry this through, sign this document and send it off to FAA.
And that comes out of the airport.
Yes, that's all strictly airport. And it's money that they haven't received yet. It's an entitlement that they'll probably get this year. So if they had a big construction project, they're gonna be minus that amount of money. Because of their entitlement. It goes back to Lusk. And according to the engineers, they do this regular. Where, you know, you have airports all over the state of Wyoming. If somebody's not using their money this year, this airport over here will use it, and then the money they're supposed to get next year goes back to this airport. And they use, I guess it's a very common thing to use. I've heard that from two different engineers that work on.
Who controls where?
That is all controlled by the FAA. So they're monitoring this money. Okay. Back to the agreement letter.
Got a question here.
That's a question.
Okay.
So again, hazard of the job. So what the engineers told you, Mr. Mayor, is correct. This is a very common thing among airports, especially considering that most grants are a use it or lose it situation. Whatever you ask for and you don't use, and the chances of getting that the next year around. So it's just a way for Wyoming airports to be good neighbors, look out for each other. And they kind of, you know, it may sound kind of, you know, weird at first that, hey, we're swapping these entitlements around. It's just a way to make sure that pool of funding from the FAA is available when Wyoming airports need it. So that's just the big thing there.
Okay. Thank you.
It's come from John T. Bauer, manager, Denver Airport District Office. And on the back, it says right there, in accordance with United States Chapter 49 of the United States Code. Transfer sponsoring, it's all right there if you want to read more about it. So basically, I just need to sign this and over. So what I'd like is a motion for me to go ahead and sign this, giving back their entitlement.
I'll make a motion.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Okay. We'll move on. The only other thing the airport had was for their blade that they use on the rubber tired loader for pushing snow around. They come with carbide blades. And they're looking at trying just a regular blade, see how long it'll last. Or cutting edge is what they are. And one set of cutting edges for this is $2,773.52. And from what they're being told, they figured they'd go through two sets of these versus one set of carbide, and there's probably $1,000 difference between two sets of regular cutting edges and one set of carbide edges. So they're asking for two sets, but I was visiting with Marie and their budget is there any way they can handle it?
They can under repair and maintenance for buildings and grounds. They do have available funds there.
Okay,
Legally debit out of buildings and grounds and.
yes, we can pull it out of another line item. Yes, we can. So is there any discussion on this? Do I have a motion to go ahead and purchase these two sets of cutting edges?
I'll make a motion.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. Okay, we'll move on to South Central Wyoming Emergency Medical Board, Marie.
I will need a motion to transfer, well, first for a request for reimbursement for the ambulance fund. $24,223.28. This is paid for by the specific purpose tax money. Their total budget was $150,000 for their ambulance barn addition, and after this payment, they will have $720.55 left in their budget. So I just need a motion for that, and then a motion to transfer the money from WyoStar specific purpose tax into our general fund.
Do I have a motion to pay this bill, or is there any discussion on this? Do I have a motion to go ahead and pay this amount of $24,223.28? Reimbursement to the ambulance.
I'll make a motion.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
And then,
Opposed?
sorry,
Now you need a motion to bring this out of WildStar.
correct.
I'll make a motion.
Do I have a-
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. And anything else from the ambulance?
No other updates. The next meeting is April 17th at 6 p.m. in Saratoga.
Okay. Any other matters need to be brought before this council tonight? Seeing none, may I have a motion for adjournment?
Make a motion.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Yeah. Meeting adjourned.